Okay. I think I'm live. Hopefully this goes better than last week's, because it was kind of a disaster last week. And I'll just wait for at least one person to get in here. Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Libby. How are you guys today? I guess tonight. Hi, Melody. That sounds great. Why did you have to do that? Okay, there's a handful of people in here now. I am feeling pretty tired already. So if I'm not the most talkative or whatever, I mean, I know it's a live stream, but if I'm not the most, like, animated and put together, you know why. You are forewarned. What a day. Oh, jeez. Oh, wow. I'm glad to say nothing like that has remotely ever happened to me before. Wow. Well, I mean, it makes sense that they would have gotten mooned by him if he was running around naked. That's fun. I hope you don't have any, like, little siblings or little children who saw that. Oh my gosh. Just your average Sunday. Hi, Beck. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. I don't know what Chris entitled this live stream. I don't know if it was entitled anything. Oh, I guess it shouldn't say part 2. I don't know if changing that now will change anything. But, oh well, I can fix it in post. I didn't even think about naming it. I'm using a different software than I did last week because, you know, last week was a disaster. Oh, did I ruin it?
I didn't name anything.
Oh, did I mess something up?
No. I was just telling you that you could probably rename it if you want to.
I think I did, but I don't know if it. I don't know.
I was just checking to see how it sounded, and I heard you say that. But
it just.
I didn't name it anything.
Okay, I'm using a different.
Yeah, it's named differently now. It worked.
It is okay. It worked. All right, so
I like the software a lot better because you can change the name to whatever you want really easily.
Yeah, we're using OBS this time instead of XSplit, which is what we usually use because it crashed like 6 times. So Chris, when I was like setting up the live stream, I couldn't get like screen capture to work and webcam to work and all this stuff. And I was like, Chris, and he was like, okay, and he downloaded a whole new software and did everything for me, and it took like 10 minutes. Cause he's less than that. He's brilliant. I went to the bathroom twice while he did all that. Because I'm crazy and my bladder is like this big. Information the internet needs to know. He's just standing there. So I just like got water and chilled out, and he just like set it all up for me. But yeah. Anyway, hopefully it looks and sounds and reacts better than it did last time. Ooh, okay. And obviously we did a lot of organizing over the past week as well. It was getting, there goes the fridge. It was getting kind of crazy in here. We did some more book shopping because we have no self-restraint. We bought a lot of books yesterday at the library book sale, and now we've like finally started organizing all the books in the house again. So like mysteries right here, and we do have some like older classics up there, but then behind here is just our general fiction and historical fiction. And then up on top that you can't see, here, let me see if I can, up on top is our nautical books, because we have nautical things up there. So like Horatio Hornblower and what's his name, Patrick O'Brien books, and then several ship things. Those bookends are really ugly, ignore them. But then this is all our nonfiction. And so that's what I did that. I really love organizing books. Good thing I do it for a living. So I did all that over the past week and just like have been going at it. And then we moved all the manga. I don't know. It's gonna make a lot of noise or anything. The manga and graphic novels are all right there. You just can't see because there's a chair in front of them. And then Stephen King is all right there. We have a million Stephen King books. Okay, so that's what I did. Oh, and there's Christopher's pile of unicorns. What are the 2 readathons in August? Isn't the next Tome Topple going to be in August? And I haven't heard anything about Booktubeathon. Is there going to be Booktubeathon this year? But I may do them, I may not. It depends on if I'm in a reading slump in August, which hopefully I won't be. You still need to fix up your bookshelf. Keep rearranging them. We're pretty, I mean, besides the classic bookshelves, because we collect sets, so like we may have duplicates of the same book, but they're in different sets. But besides that, it's really easy. I just organize everything by author's last name. So A is right here, J.J. Abrams, and then it goes all the way down to Gabrielle Zevin. And it's very simple, and it makes it very easy to like shelf books as they come in. Oh, those 2. Book Roasts Newts-a-thon. I don't know. Oh, hi Bruna. I didn't even see that. Hello. I don't know if I will. For the Newts one, any WTs. I'm just kind of sick of Harry Potter. And I don't even want to think about it, so probably not. And then I don't do thrillers. Potentially if I could bend it and just like do mysteries. because there are mysteries I want to do. We do it by genre and then author within that. Except for like the manga and the graphic novels, I just shoved in there wherever they fit, but everything else we do that way and it works. And I did the living room today, all the mass market paperback SFF that we have, and I did all the classics and my Arthurian shelf, and then besides that we need to do all like the trade and hardcover sized SFF, because we do have to split those because they just fit on our shelves better like that. We don't have enough shelf room to fit all the mass markets in with them. Booktubeathon is sorry. Booktubeathon is happening July 30th to August 5th. I don't know. I kind of want to do Booktubeathon. I'm so nostalgic for Booktubeathon because that's the thing that made me start my own booktube channel. It was the first Booktubeathon, and I finally picked up a book for like the first time in years. Well, not in years, but like the first like new to me book in a really long time. Besides that, I'd just been rereading books, and that like inspired me and stuff. And so I kind of want to do Booktubeathon, but we'll have to see. You sometimes rearrange your friends' bookshelves. I never had any friends who had books to rearrange, but Chris kind of just lets me do all the rearranging because he knows that I love it, so that's nice. Oh, it's always during San Diego Comic-Con weekend, so you can never join in. But you can always do it all the other days and just not participate on those few days. Those like 3 or 4 days, but anyway, let's talk about what I read this week. I think a lot of you guys saw, I did a little like Instagram like reading day on Friday, and I like read a bunch of really short books. And so I'll go through all of those again, plus the other things that I read this week. And I'm trying to remember what I did read this week versus last week. I think this is the last book that I started on, so I'll try not to open too many windows at once. Okay, that's enough to start with. On Wednesday, so you'll be participating in 2 days, maybe one. You can always, I don't know, listen as you drive or as you drive or as you fly or whatever, but yeah, I know that can be hard when you're traveling to do it. Oh, that's awesome that you're reading again, Bruna. That's so great. Congrats. Reading slumps are the worst. Okay. Let's talk about what I read this week. Oh, hi, Diana. You changed your thumbnail. Okay, so the first thing that I got to this week, I finished after the live stream last week. So I finished this on Sunday. Hi, Keisha. How are you guys doing? Hey, that's awesome, Melody. Was it The Outsider? What did you end up reading? Okay. I read a lot of things this week, but a lot of them were short. Oh, you finished Cersei. Was that amazing? Everyone's been saying it's amazing. So to continue on in my quest of finishing up the On Dublin Street series, I ended up reading 2 things for that this week. So I read One Real Thing. The reason I'm reading that, even though it's not part of the On Dublin Street series, is that there's a novella that it's a crossover from On Dublin Street and Heart's Boardwalk. And so in order to read this, I need to read this and this. And so I am. I did. I read the first book, and I'll probably start the second book in the next couple weeks, because I would really like to just wrap this little thing up. And then for the On Dublin Street series, yeah, that's the last book that I have left as well, because this past week I finished the Valentine novella, which is the 5.5, so the characters from number 6 aren't in it at all. It's just like, I don't know. I'll talk about it. Let's see. Yeah, Chris said that he does recommend reading Bill Hodgins first, because it does spoil it and it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, instead of explaining things, he just like leaves it out and just like makes the person, like the reader, to have had to read those other books to like understand what happened, which Chris said he didn't like. Besides that, he ended up really liking it, but he didn't love that he did that, so I guess that makes sense if you didn't read Bill Hodgins yet. They start disagreeing. Okay, that's fine. So you just gotta read 25 more to catch up with your goal. That's about where I'm at. Okay, so for the One Real Thing, I really loved the beginning part of this book. Like the first, I don't know, maybe 20% I really loved. It's about this girl who is a doctor, and she works in a women's correction facility, or like a women's prison, and she ends up finding this book that, like, the cover's like puckered out weird. It's Pride and Prejudice, and it's like an old copy of Pride and Prejudice that's like in the prison library, and some of the women like cut it out and like hid a shank in it, and so they had to like take it out of the library, and she's like looking at it and the cover's puckered out weird, and so she's like, what the heck, it's already ruined. She cuts it open and there's some old letters stuffed inside, and so then she pulls out the letters and reads them, and it's from this town like 4 hours away from her is where the lady was from, and that's where the Heart's Boardwalk walk thing in Hartwell, it comes up. And she talks about how she ended up killing this man, but it was in self-defense, but she always felt really guilty about it, and she was convicted, and she did plead guilty to it, even though it was self-defense, and how she ended up marrying this guy to like protect this other guy. And so she finds out that the guy that she was protecting, she ends up, he never like got the letters, and she was writing it to him, and she's like, this is what happened, and she died of cancer, and she never sent the letters. They never were sent. I don't know how they ended up in the book. I don't know why she didn't send them. They ended up in the book. That's never explained. And so this girl, she ends up finding out that that guy is still alive, and so then she goes to Hartwell to go like give him the letters to maybe give him some resolution. And that's kind of how it kicks off. Let me see. You've actually finished your Goodreads goal this week. That's awesome. You've hit 105. Dang, Diana, that's crazy. 118. Man, you guys are all doing crazy awesome. Keisha, that's totally fine though. And I feel like I've gone through that before where I haven't read books for a while because all I'm reading is like stuff on Wattpad. It's fine. Some fanfic is listed on Goodreads. That is true. So anyway, this book, I really like how it started out. I thought she was an interesting character, and I liked that she was I don't know. I'm trying to describe her and trying to think of how to describe her, but my brain's not doing super well. I just thought she was an interesting character and not super stereotypical. And it's a woman in a romance book having casual sex, which is something that you don't normally see. It's like the guys are always the ones who will have sex with like anything, and then the women are always like the virgins, or like have only had sex like 3 times or something like that. And I thought it was like an interesting, not a flip, because he definitely had sex before as well, but she's kind of in just like a friendly relationship with someone at the beginning where they're not like actually in a relationship, but they're just have sex together. And I thought that was like an interesting take as well. And I was just, I don't know, I was enjoying her. And then the further I read, the more I just kind of got frustrated with her and with all the characters, and it was very insta-lovey, and I was just kind of, I don't know, the more I read, the more I lost interest in it. And I'm excited to read book 2. I think book 2 I'll end up liking more, honestly, because I know who the characters are, and you could easily tell who they were going to be in this first book. You're like, oh, that's going to be the couple from the next book. And it is, and I'm very excited to read their story. But this one, I just kind of, it didn't stick with me the most, and I was just kind of a little lackluster about it. So, I don't know. It was just, he ends up like owning the bar in Hartwell, and so when she goes there, she just, I don't know. I ended up losing my favor with this book a bit. It was still fine, and I still liked it. I just didn't love it. Melody has marked it as to read, but it doesn't look like anyone else has read it, so I don't know. Let's see. Alright, so then as far as, I'm really excited to start book 2, because that couple, they have a very, it's going to be like a hate to love thing, and I love those. Anyway, so as far as Valentine goes, I didn't really like it either. It's just like little novellas from the 6 couples so far in the series, because there was a 1.5, and so with the 1.5 and the 5 other books, there were 6 couples, even though this is the 5.5, and I just felt like it was very unnecessary. I don't know, I liked Joe and Cam's story alright, and I liked Olivia and Nate's story, and then besides that, I just could have done without. I don't like Hannah and Marco as characters. I think they're both, so I didn't care about them. I don't really love Shannon and Cole either. Like, these two are my favorites, and I liked their stories the best. I didn't care about Josh and Brayden. Like, I'm just kind of, I think I'm done with the series, and so, like, once I read that last novella, I think I'm gonna be done with it. It was fine. Like, if you wanted little, like, stories just showing snippets of their life, it was okay, but it just didn't do anything for me. I just kind of read it, and I almost like started skimming, and I was just like, this is so boring and pointless. So it was okay. It wasn't the worst thing ever. But then I read something really fun. Wow, you're working a lot. Holy cow, Bruna. I really like book 2 and book 3 of the On Dublin Street. I didn't like book 4, and then book 5 and book 6 I liked them. I just don't think they're the most amazing, but 2 and 3 are really good, in my opinion. Especially 3. 3 is the best book in the series. Okay, so this one was really cute. So Game of Hearts by Kathy Yardley. This is the 3rd book in the Fandom Hearts series, and actually there is going to be a book 4, and it's not on Goodreads yet, but it's on Audible, and I will be getting it soon. I will be pre-ordering it, I think, and listening to it as soon as it comes out, because I'm very excited for it. So this is a really fun series. Like, if you want like a geeky series, this one is super fun. So this book 3 is about a girl who's she owns / works in an auto repair shop, and then on the side she makes cosplay. She makes cosplay. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time speaking and articulating. Anyway, she does cosplays, and it was really cute. I liked it a lot. It's probably closer to like a 3.5. I didn't love it as much as like the last one, but it was super fun. And she ends up, her brother is kind of like a flaky, like really, really flaky, and is always like putting the brunt of the work on her. And so then when her brother ends up breaking his arm and not being able to work for a bit, she's gonna have to like miss the con that she's planning to go to in a month, because sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. She's gonna have to miss the con that she's planning to go into because she won't be able to finish all of her costumes before then that she's planning on doing, and she was gonna enter a contest and everything, and she won't be able to do it because she's gonna have to do all the work in the automobile shop by herself. So then she ends up calling an old family friend who ends up coming back into town. He hasn't been in town for a long time, and then it's their relationship. And it was just really cute, and I loved hearing her talk about like the costumes that she was making, the cosplays. They were so fun, and I liked both of the characters a lot, and it was just like, it was really good. Plus, on on my Goodreads group thing, on one of the challenges that I'm doing, like a romance yearly challenge, one of them is to read a motorcycle romance, and this counted as a motorcycle romance, which I didn't know, but going into it, but it totally does, because he doesn't ride in a motorcycle club, but he's in part of a motorcycle like group, and that they're like considering maybe becoming a motorcycle club, and that's like one of the subplots. It was just like so heartwarming to read, and I just was really in the mood for like a geeky romance, and it just like, it hit all the points. And I don't think motorcycle books are my thing, but this one did it in a way that I actually liked, so it's okay. It was very adorable. It was very cute, and I like it a lot, and it was very enjoyable. I think he's part Native American, so there is some person of color rep, and I think it mentions her being like a size 18 as well, so there is some like fat rep as well, so it was also diverse, and it was just really cute. And I liked it a lot. It made me happy. Okay, let's see. You now joined Scribd. So did I. I'm a bad influence on myself, too. Did you use the link to get 2 months free at least, though? Hopefully. I hope you did. You'll have to let me know how it goes for you. You need to read the series. You should, Melody. I think you'll like it a lot. I do think book 1.5 is kind of superfluous. It's not necessary, but 2 and 3 are definitely my favorites, and I like them a lot. Okay, yeah, you use the link. Okay, that's fine then. 2 whole months free. And you can always... That's perfect timing, because then it will end right when you go back to school, so then you can just put it on hold until your break or something. Yeah, I found a ton as well. So, there was a lot of things that I'm interested in on there. Anyway, so this is really fun, and I really liked this, and I'm so glad that I read it. So, after reading this, and the next book doesn't come out, I think it comes out in August. Let me see. Let me look that up, actually, really quickly. Kathy Yardley. Kathy Yardley. So the next book comes out, it's called What Happens at Con, and its release date is July 31st. Okay, so it comes out in a month and a half. I'm very excited, and I'm going to pre-order it on Audible. So I'm very excited about it. And so then after reading this, I was like, well, I want to read more, like, geeky romances. Definitely recommend some to me. Please, please recommend me some geeky romances. Because this, like, really kicked off my fire of, like, contemporary geeky romances. I read some that are, like, historical ones, but I want contemporary ones. So then I decided to go on and read At Any Price by Brenna Aubrey. Because I was like, yay, more geeky romances. I didn't remember what this book was about when I went into it. This was the Vaginal Fantasy book club pick a while ago, and I never ended up getting to it, but it was on my radar because of that. So I was like, oh, I remember that one book from Vaginal Fantasy. I looked it up. I was like, okay, I'll read it, and I forgot to reread the description. Sorry, my alarm's going off. Oh, that's okay. Well then. Keep it. It'll be fun. I haven't read Eliza and Her Monsters yet. I've heard really good things about it, though. What happens at a con stays at the con. Hi, Judith. You're not that late. I've only talked about, like, 3 books. Not much has happened. The only thing that you really missed was, a naked person running around in Elizabeth's yard, and she had to call the cops on them. That's all you've missed. So anyway, I decided to pick up this book, and I really hated it, and I DNF'd it at like maybe 80%. So I got very far, and finally at like that 75, 80, maybe even closer to 85% of the mark through, I was just like, I hate this so much. I'm forcing myself to read it. I hate these characters. I hate everything about this book. And I couldn't make myself do it anymore, and I had to DNF. So basically it's about this girl who ends up putting like a manifesto up on the internet saying like women's virginity has been like sold off for thousands of years, and it's ridiculous, and we need to like take it back. And so she's like, so I'm gonna auction off my virginity. And so then she does, and oh my word. It was such a train wreck. Does she draw? Is that the thing in it? I don't remember how it's geeky, but I will look it up. So maybe one day. Yeah, and so, I mean, and it's fine and all, and like, I do agree with a lot of the points that she made, and she does like talk about, like at the very beginning, she talks about like women's dowries and how this has like always been a thing as far back as like written history goes, and how like in Japan, like men would like groom girls from like a very young age just to, and like pay for all her education and schooling and everything for years just to be able to like have sex with them once and take their virginity, and it's like really creepy stuff and stuff that I'm just like, ugh. Like geishas and stuff. And so I was like, yeah, I agree with some of the points you're making, but then the guy, if she somehow expects though that like if she auctions off her virginity that the person like buying it is gonna be wonderful. And I'm like, girl, you are so delusioned. Like, who do you think is going to be seeing this and isn't gonna be like a sleaze bag? And then I thought it would go maybe in the direction of him paying the money and like claiming it or whatever, and then not actually ever going through it. But then instead he just like starts like really emotionally like manipulating her, and every time, so they're just supposed to have this like one night together, and then he ends up like being like, oh, I have to work, and so then they don't, and then he's like, well, I still own your virginity, and he's like, and we don't have to have it. He's like, we can have it whenever I say we can have it in the next 6 months. So it's mine, and I can put it off for however long I want. And so then he does, and then he keeps on like taking her on like dates, and then he's like, oh, here, you don't have a good enough laptop for gaming, so here, and he like buys her a new laptop, and then he like buys an apartment building and forces her to move into it because he doesn't like where she's living. And he's just like starts buying all these things and like pressing them on her, and she doesn't want them, but she's just kind of like going along with it, and she's just such a pushover, and he's like forcing all these things on her, and it's like really manipulative and really gross and just like really creeped me out. And I was like, girl, you need to get away from this guy because he is like super pushy and demanding and is not letting you have any like respect, and he's not respecting you at all, and he treats her like trash when he meets her. And she's like, oh, I don't think I want to have sex with you after all because you're kind of a dick. And he's like, I'm like, girl, what do you expect? He's not going to respect you and treat you well. But then he's actually really nice and special and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, oh my God. It was driving me up a wall. I'm also pretty sure what like one of the big like plot twists is going to be at the end. I never actually got to see if it was true, but I didn't even get that far, and I don't really care. I'm like, it was just such a disaster, and I really, really, really hated it a lot. So let's see. She does a comic book series online. Okay, well, I'm gonna double check if that's on my list. And bump it up my list if it is. You bought 8 this weekend. Well, I bought like over 100 this weekend, so you're fine. The library book sale happened this weekend, and we went crazy. Yeah, it was giving me a bit of a 50 Shades vibe as well, with him like forcing all this stuff on her, and it just like really creeped me out. But to be fair, one of them is this really cool set of the Waverly novels. And they were less than $1 each, and it's from 1887. Let me see. And it's like a complete set, except for I'm just missing volume 11. So that was like 24 of them. And they were really cheap and beautiful, and they're in really good condition. So now I have a lot of Walter Scott to read. And then we also found a really cool set of like junior classics or whatever that aren't abridged and are really cool, and they were less than $1 each as well. So we bought a few like big sets. They're really cool. I haven't read 50 Shades of Grey either. I would recommend watching, oh gosh, what is his name? What is his name? He does book/movie reviews. And he's really funny, and he's British. He did a movie review of, like, Ella Enchanted. Let me see if I can remember what his name is. I know. We got some, we found some good things. Caitlin Doughty. Oh geez, Keisha. We got like 1 billion copies of Grey. The one by Christian's Point of View. We got like 1 billion copies of those in the bookstore, and I think we sold like 2. And it came out in November. It was kind of funny that they just like sat there, and we sent them all back. We have like 5 left, and I think they're all gonna get pulled eventually. I haven't read any of Scott yet, so we'll see if I like him. I really hope I do. But we saw it, and I just couldn't pass it up. Anyway, what's his name? I know he did an Ella Enchanted movie review. What's his name? The Dom. That's it. So, go watch the Dom's videos that he did on 50 Shades of Grey. They're really funny, and he goes he goes like step by step about how abusive and horrible they are. And they were very funny. I love watching all of his videos. I don't watch them on this account. That's why none of them looks like they're watched. But I do love watching all of his videos. The ones that he did on The Hobbit were really funny and great. The Tuck Everlasting one was really good. Like, all of his videos are really good. I love him. I haven't been watching the series of Fortunate Events because I haven't been watching the Netflix show. The Game of Thrones ones are really interesting. So he's really great, and I recommend all of his stuff, but the 50 Shades of Grey one was good. You've watched him before? Yeah, he's hilarious. Anyway, point being is this was horrendous. And I hated it, and I DNF'd it. I was like kind of pushing myself to finish, and then all of a sudden I just kind of like sat up and like mentally slapped myself and was like, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time on this? There's so many other books you could be reading. Stop it. And I did stop it, and I'm proud of myself. So I don't plan on reading anything else by this author. She'd have to do a lot to convince me that it's worth it. But it was available in the Audible romance package, so I don't really care. I returned it, and I'm good with not having completed it. But I know a lot of people did give it like 5 stars and loved it a lot. And I just don't understand. But that's well and fine. You really want to read this? Please don't read this. This was so bad. Please don't read this. Read these instead. The Kathy Yardley ones. Read these. They're great. Don't read this. It's trash. Anyway. Oh my gosh, you bought The President is Missing. Oh, Judith. Judith, 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 Judith. Moving on. The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. And you may be saying, Giselle, didn't you just read this last week and talk about it last Sunday? Yes, but I read it again, so shut up. So basically what happened is I physically picked up the audio, or the physical book, and I read from like page 50 till the end last week. And then I was like, well, I didn't read like the first 50 pages. So then I started the audiobook, and then once I caught up to where I was, I just continued listening and I finished it. So I'm considering that 2 reads. Plus I went back and like reread several sections and stuff. So like altogether I did read it 2 times. So This is my 4th time reading this, and I really love it, and I recommend, and it's great. So, okay, moving on. It's wonderful. If you haven't read it yet, fix your life. And then we'll talk about all the stuff that I read the other day. On Friday. Oh, jeez. That's so funny. I didn't even think about that, but we had, like, I think, like, we had several copies of it in the bookstore on Thursday. Probably, like, 7 copies or so. Maybe more. And then when I came in yesterday to work, there were no copies left. And everyone had bought them for Father's Day. And I was like, oh, we probably should have had more of those. Didn't even think about it. Not that it's my job to have them in stock, but anyway. So next I reread The Arctic Incident. I've been reading this for the past couple weeks, so I finally finished it. And this was so fun. I love Holly, and I love Artemis, and I love Butler, and I love Julius. And Opal is one of my favorite villains. She's insane, and Cudgeon is great, and Foley's just amazing. So, yeah. Great series. I really recommend. This is probably like my 7th time reading this book at least. I've read it a ton, and I'm excited to continue on and read the 3rd book, because the 3rd book in this series is my absolute favorite in the whole series, The Eternity Code. So I'm ready. My mind and my body, I'm ready to read the 3rd book. Except for maybe not, because I just love it so much. I'm really excited, though. Okay. This book is the book that made me love this series. Okay, so then I went on and started rereading the Disney Fairies series. The first book is The Trouble with Tink, and this is really fun. I do think that this book in particular does have a lot of plot holes in it. Like, there's a lot of things where if you stop and think about it for a second, you're just like, that doesn't make sense, like, story-wise. But overall, it was still really fun. I like that Peter is portrayed as like a rude, like, forgetful, like, frustrating person, because he is. I really don't like the character of Peter Pan, like, from the original book. And I kind of like that they continued that on with this, and I enjoyed that. And I think Tink is very prideful and dumb, so nothing new there, but it was still enjoyable, and the art in these books are absolutely beautiful, so I really enjoyed that. Nope, it did disconnect. Why would it do that? It's buffering. Okay, I think it's back on. It's successfully reconnected. Now it's back. Is it back for everyone? Well, it's back for me. It's back. Okay. Judith, have you read Vidya, the video one yet? The first video one? Let me see which one it's called. Vidya and the Fairy Crown. I think I have a second copy of that one. Anyway. Alright, so Narwhal and Jelly book. Narwhal of the Sea, which is book 1 by Ben Clanton. I'm sorry I hate to be an enabler, but go get this book. It's brilliant. It is so funny and cute and adorable and wonderful, and I can't recommend it enough. Let me see. Look inside. Okay, so here's a little snippet of what it looks like. Am I what? Real? He's so cute. Don't look like any fish I've seen. I sure have an amazing imagination. I can't believe this. The thing I'm imagining is imagining that it is imagining me. Anyway, it's very cute, and if you have any interest in it, I recommend that you go pick it up ASAP because it's one of the funniest things I've ever read. It's really cute. Like, even if you just can go get it from the library or whatever, it's very short. It's just a little kid's comic, and it is hilarious. I laughed and laughed and laughed through the whole thing, like, out loud laughing, and it probably took me, like, 20 minutes to read, simply for the fact that I just, like, stopped and stared at every page for, like, a absurdly long amount of time. Like, Chris came home, and I made him sit down and read it, and he read it in less than 5 minutes. So it's very short. It just took me forever to read because I was just like staring at all the illustrations. It's really cute and adorable, and I 100% recommend that you get your hands on it some way because it's wonderful. Yana's read it and loved it. Allie really loved it, and I really trust Allie's opinion in children's books. Anyway, it's just adorable. And it's one of my favorite things I've ever read. There's 3 books out, and my bookstore has them. So I'm going to read them when I have some time over the next amount of time. Like next week or so. But I loved it. We picked up a physical copy when we were in Maryland, and I'm really glad that I did. And I want to own them all now. The next thing that I did is I went and I reread The Boxcar Children. I actually ended up reading the second book as well, so let's talk about them together. So The Boxcar Children, just book 1, by Gertrude Chandler Warner. I really, really enjoyed. It's ridiculous. It's kind of like, it was first published in 1942, and I think you can really tell that by the writing style. It seems fairly archaic, and like it does. It's dated itself, just like the way that they talk. It's essentially like Five Little Peppers and how they grew, but like on steroids. It's really interesting. So it's like the most like happiest, contented, grateful children ever, and it's super idealistic, and it's something that I can't picture actually happening. Like, they are just so like happy that it just doesn't seem real or believable in any way, but I still really enjoyed it. It's basically these kids, their parents die, they're orphans, and their grandfather's like this mean, horrible person that they've never actually met, but they assume that he's mean and horrible because he didn't get along with their parents very well. And so then they run away and they find this abandoned boxcar and they live in it. Oh, bye, Melody. Have fun in your shower. So this book, it's unbelievable for that, but like, fine, whatever, I'll give it that. But then they're so happy and grateful, and like, their parents just died. It's not even mentioned past like the first like 2 pages that their parents are dead. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, like, but we're still really happy, and none of us are upset or traumatized or hurt at all because of this. And we're just gonna live in this boxcar, and we're gonna we're gonna just find everything that we need perfectly in like this junkyard. We're gonna find like plates and knives and spoons and forks, and we're going to find like a kettle, and we're gonna find this and that, and they like light fires and like cook all their own food and wash. It's like the box cart happens to be perfectly next to this little stream, so then they're able to like wash their dishes in the stream, and it's just like, it's so like ridiculously like happy and perky. This first book isn't a mystery at all, but the rest of the books are mysteries in the series. This one isn't at all, and I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed it despite how like I'm making it sound, because despite it being all those, just the way that it made me feel when I was reading it, it just made me so nostalgic, and it made me want to go like live like that, just the same like impression that I got from it the first time that I read it when I was a kid, because this was a reread for me. And that's how it made me feel when I first read this when I was a kid. I was like, I'm living outside, and I did, and I went and camped in my backyard, and I kind of like tried to like live off the land a little bit. We had like a vegetable garden and stuff like that, and I did, and it inspired me to do that, and it made me feel the same way, but it was so like over the top, like happy. And so why I call it like Five Little Peppers on steroids, that it's like Five Little Peppers is about this family who's like, they're very poor and they don't have a lot of stuff, but they're super happy, and they're always like helping their mother and are like really, really wonderful people. But this was like that to like an extreme. I still really enjoyed it, and I mean, it's cute and it's fun. Book 2, I liked less so. Oh, okay. Hopefully everything works out, Libby. The book 2 is more of a mystery, so basically, spoiler for the first book, but this is how all the other books in the series are, is that their grandfather ends up not being horrible, and they go and live with him, and he's like really rich, and so they just can do whatever they want, essentially. So then in book 2, they go and live on this little island for the summer by themselves for a few weeks. There's like a couple adults on the island, but they are living by themselves in this like barn. And again, like living off the land, but they can like, somebody goes to the mainland like once a day or whatever, and so he'll like bring groceries back for them and stuff. But they are very, very, very resourceful children. But I don't know, it's interesting. I don't know how to feel about it. Yeah, it's definitely not believable at all. It's just like, it is. It's very like perfect and neat and just like, but it's fun. Anyway, book 2, I don't know, they end up finding and like using the book's words. They end up finding this cave on the island, and it's full of like Indian arrowheads and a bunch of like Indian artifacts. And then there's someone who lives on the island, and they end up telling him about it because they almost get stuck and drown in there when the tide comes in. And so then he goes in with them, and they end up finding like a human skeleton with like an arrow in it, so he was shot. It was just like, they end up finding this cave, and then the guy ends up being like, okay, well, we're gonna like blow this cave apart so that we can like excavate all the stuff. And I don't know, it's just, I don't know, it is using like outdated terms and stuff, so like if you're sensitive to things like that, I wouldn't recommend continuing on with the series. But considering when it was written, I feel like it wasn't too terrible. It just, some of the things just didn't sit quite right with me and kind of niggled at me. And then continuing on to book 3, which I'm currently reading, it's just like the whole series is just like so like, it's like this little like dreamland that's like completely unrealistic. And it's like the Yellow House mystery, I think, is book 3, and I'm reading it right now, and it's, the police went through and is it the Yellow House Mystery? Yeah, the Yellow House Mystery. The police went through and ended up combing this house. This guy ends up like going and disappearing, and so the police end up combing his house for clues. And then the kids are like, well, I want to go explore the house and see if we can find any clues. And so then the 5-year-old kid finds a clue in like the first like 5 minutes that they're in the house and stuff. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's so, I'm like, really, the police couldn't find this thing that this child could find, and just like stuff like that. Like, it's just like, it's not believable at all. And if you get frustrated easily with stuff like that, it's hard to recommend, but at the same time, it is like a kid's series, and it is older, and it's just like, I don't know if I want to continue after book 3 just for how unbelievable they are. Which, they don't have to be like the most realistic things ever, but like these kids are like angels, and it's a little bit frustrating. Anyway. I recommend book 1. I think it's fun, but I don't know if I recommend continuing on besides book 1. I hadn't read them in forever either. Yeah. I don't know, it was just some of the wording that they use and stuff, like, yeah, if you are, I don't know, easily like offended by stuff, I definitely wouldn't recommend reading this series and stuff. And I don't know, at least they are trying to be conscious of like preserving the actual artifacts, or so they seem to be. But then at the same time, like at the beginning of book 3, it is following like a story progression. So then at the beginning of book 3 is when they actually start doing like the excavations for this area, and they let this little kid, this like 5-year-old, they let him like set off the explosives, and I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Like, they let the kids set off their explosives, be on the island when it's happening, and then they like immediately like go down. They're like, smoke is still coming up, let's go down and see how it went. And I'm just like, what are you doing? You're letting a 5-year-old child set off explosives and then go down. Like, again, it's just like this little like happy like in this world, this is how things work. And it's just like, I don't know. It's frustrating to read now, and I understand like you have to give it some allowances, but at the same time, it's just like, how many allowances can we give this? Yes, I agree with that. And I want to go and reread the Nancy Drew books, because these are a series that we do have at the library. Oh, I don't know why I marked it as want to read. I'm currently reading this one. I do want to continue on with this at least a little bit further, for the sake that we do have it at the bookstore, and so then if I can at least have an informed opinion. And then I want to read Nancy Drew and maybe a couple of the younger mystery series, like the ABC mysteries and stuff like that, just so that I can, and maybe like the, oh gosh, what are they called? Like the baseball mysteries or whatever it is. Like, I want to read those so I can have an informed opinion of like which the best ones are, because they don't have to be like the most perfect believable one, but at the same time, like, really, how far are we stretching this? But Diana, these covers came out in like 89, so like I feel like even just in like the past like 20-30 years, things have changed a lot since then, socially. I don't know. I've never read any Goosebumps. You haven't read any of those. You mainly read Brazilian children's books. Yeah, I don't think I've read any of those. And I want to reread the Mandy books, and even reading the Babysitter's Club, like those, the new like graphic novels are coming out of those, and there are ones that I want to read, but this is one that I'm definitely reading more for like the sake of having an informed opinion if people ask my opinion at the bookstore and being able to recommend something with like peace of mind. Yeah, and that's true, Keisha, and I totally agree with that. But it is like, and I was just saying, like, with the terminology and just like with the way things worked, it just it didn't age well, which is kind of why I like books like Running Out of Time by Margaret Peterson Haddix. It kind of makes me think of that, where she does do a good job of like pointing out like how drastically the world and America specifically has changed in like 150 years between like mid 1800s and like late 1900s and stuff, and it's just like, or early 2000s even, because that's a book where it's almost like the bubble or whatever it is called. I don't know, is that what it's called? But where they're like completely into the village, is that what it's called? I don't know. But where they're completely like closed off and isolated, and but the people, the children don't even know that they're not living in the right like time period and that they're actually part of like an experiment. And then people start getting really sick and she has to go out into like the 21st century and like has no clue what's going on. It's really interesting. It makes me think of that because it's like, wow, times have really changed. Yeah, and it is something you would enjoy reading when you just want something like light and happy. But these kids are just so happy. It's ridiculous. I mean, my grandma taught me to drive when I was like 12. But that was like up in a tiny little town on like back roads, and she taught me how to drive. But it definitely wasn't legal at all. And we would have been in big trouble if we'd been pulled over. So I'm surprised she let me do that. But she taught all of my cousins and I to drive like that. Some of your books burned in a fire. Ugh, that really sucks. That is like my fear. That is genuinely a really big fear of mine. Okay, I'm gonna go get some more water and go to the bathroom, and I will be back to finish talking about the books that I read this week. Okay, I'm back. My mom dates an ET. I haven't read any of the Bobbsey twins books. I think I own like maybe one, but I genuinely don't know like anything about them. I really want to go and reread the Malone books though, like the Beanie Malone books and Meet the Malones. But I don't think they exist on audios. I'd have to physically read them. Yeah, heard of them but never read them. Artemis Fowl and Garth Nix were with you. I've only read Garth Nix's recent books, but I think he's becoming a favorite author of mine, and I need to go back and read, like, oh gosh, what is it called? Sabriel? I need to go read that. Okay, so then the next thing that I continued my rereading of, because most of these have been rereads, I decided to start rereading the Spiderwick Chronicles, so I reread the Field Guide and the Sea and Stone, and I'm actually currently rereading the next book in the series. I just haven't completely finished. I have like maybe like, I don't know, 10 minutes left of the audiobook for the third book, so I'll probably finish it tonight before I go to bed. But the Field Guide and the Sea and Stone, and I like this series, but I honestly, they're so short and so like, I don't know, unfulfilling feeling. I feel like it would be better just like as a big bind up. And even then, it wouldn't be very long. I guess that's my one complaint with these, but they are fun and cute. It's about these kids. What I really like about this is that this girl has like major anger management issues, and she knows how to fence, and she's like the most like adventurous person out of like the three of them, and I love that. I love that it's not even like portrayed as something weird at all, and nobody's questions that she's like maybe has like more masculine traits that's like not even brought up. It's just like how it is, and I really like that. That's something that I think is done very subtly and well, and that I very much enjoyed. But besides that, I don't know, they're fun, and I think they're really good for kids. But as an adult, I just don't find them as gripping. And maybe because I've already read them as well, but I just kind of have felt like my mind wandering a bit. And I'm like not as like engrossed in them as I was when I first read them. But I do think that the art inside is really beautiful. The illustrations are gorgeous, and I would recommend them. I think they are good, and they stand up. Guess you'd have to take a moving trunk. Yeah, just read the last two, Judith. Do it. They're very fast. It'll take you like an hour for each one. Yeah, I don't know. The movie was terrible, though. Don't recommend the movie. I also, no offense to him, but I just don't love this actor. His face kind of irritates me. But I am enjoying my reread of the series, and I think it's fun. And I will probably try to finish it up this week, if I can. So the next thing that I read is actually here. I need to pull it up for you. Oh, look, I've already looked it up. So this...
Hello.
Oops. watch this because it's really funny and it's better than the book. So I read 13 Words by Lemony Snicket and Maria Kalman. And the book itself, I didn't really care for. It was just weird. I didn't get the point, and I don't like the art. But the book trailer, which is what I just linked you to, is really funny. The book trailer had me like rolling on the ground. It was so funny. So if you want to get like a taste of like Lemony Snicket's humor, I really recommend it. And I enjoyed watching the book trailer. I've actually seen it like 4 times now in the past few days because I've been showing it to different people. It's super enjoyable, but the actual book itself I don't think is really worth reading. And the book trailer does take like pictures from the actual book, and it is those 13 words that he's talking about. He just goes through all the words, but you don't actually get the story in the book trailer. But I don't think you really need the story because the story is kind of dumb. Oh, that's so sad, Bruna. You read all the books in the library. Yeah, I didn't own books either when I was younger. Almost all the books I read were from the library. Or we bought used from the library. Alright, this was a treat, though. Bruce Colville's The Ghost in the Third Row, which is book 1 in the Nina 1011 series. Brilliant book. It is so funny. So, Nina 1011, everyone calls her 9 because 9, 10, 11. 9 is such a funny character. Her and her best friend Chris are gems. I don't like this cover as much as this cover. I mean, I don't really like either of them, but I think I like this one better. Anyway, I think this is like the only Bruce Colville books I've ever read are these ghost books, the Nina 1011 books. And I don't know how that's possible because his books are really funny and I want to read like everything by him now. Rereading this as an adult, she's really funny, she's really snarky, she has a great sense of humor, she has a great repertoire. Is that the right thing? She spars really well, like off of like her friend and her adults and everything. Her dad is awesome, and it's like nobody like questions her when she's like, I saw a ghost. They're just like, of course you did, because they like trust her that much. It's totally like set in our world and everything, but like her dad like totally believes her when she sees the ghost, and her friends see this ghost together, and it's the ghost of this woman who was murdered, and while like being the lead in a production. And it was just so enjoyable. Like, just Nina's character made this like a 5-star book for me. I ate up every second of it, and it was just so funny. I loved it. And I don't know, like, it wasn't like the most like amazing, I guess, in terms of the plot. Like, it's not like terrible in the plot department, but it is like a children's mystery book, so like at the same point, like, there's always going to be a little bit of like, okay, these like children like figuring it out when like the police couldn't and things like that. But when she's in the stage production, she's being part of one that they're recreating. So someone wrote a play based off these like real events, and she's in it, and then the ghost is like haunting the theater, and things start like going wrong at the theater, and people are like, it's the ghost, they don't want us to put on this production or whatever. It was super enjoyable though. I really, really loved rereading this, and it was just like such a joy. I was not disappointed in it at all, and Nina is hilarious. And if you want to, the audiobooks for this I think are great. Who's the narrator for them? What is her name? Christina Moore. I really like Christina Moore, and I would recommend like anything narrated by her, but her voice just fits it so well. I want to go listen to everything she's narrated now. Oh yes, and she narrates like Emily's Runaway Imagination by Beverly Cleary and stuff. I just really like her as well. So anyway, this was a great reread, and so then I went on and I reread the second book, which is The Ghost Wore Grey. Again, I really don't like these covers. Oh no, he looks like a deformed Benedict Cumberbatch. Okay, let's switch to this other edition. Good, Judith, do add it to your list. It's great. You lived in the library, same. He did! Doesn't he look like it? Especially small. But I do not like these covers. Oh boy. I mean, these covers aren't like particularly great either, but they're not as bad. Thanks, I appreciate that, Keisha. I thought so too. Okay, so then the Ghost Wore Grey, her dad ends up getting like a contracting job to go like fix this like old inn. And so then he ends up like quitting his job and going and doing it because he's been wanting to do freelance for a long time to like redesign it and actually like do it. And so then they go to this old inn and they end up seeing this ghost of this Confederate soldier. This is in New York, and so they're like, why is this Confederate soldier in New York? That doesn't... Okay, that's like kind of random. Speaking of, I'm thinking of it now. Why is he wearing his outfit, his uniform, when he didn't die in it? That's what I want to know. Because he definitely didn't die in it because he was disguised. Anyway, so then you end up finding the story out about him. They end up finding this room in the inn, this hidden room that was used for the Underground Railroad. And you're kind of like finding out how he was connected to it. And he does start out... The thing about Nina and Chris is that they're like 11 and they're completely boy crazy, or maybe they're even 10. They're very young and they're very boy crazy, and it's super ridiculous, and I'm just like rolling my eyes at how boys crazy they are and how ridiculous they are. But still, like, the humor and the repertoire and everything was just, like, really on point and funny. But then at the same time, I'm like, honey, you're, like, 10. Calm down. But she's just like, man, that ghost, he's a hunk. And I was like, what? But anyway, it's just, it was, like, weird. But at the same time, it's, like, really funny. And they're like that in the first book as well. It's, like, not anything off course. She's, like, totally, like, in love with her director for the play because... he's a hunk, and they call everyone a hunk, and it's really funny. You didn't miss much, Libby. We're just talking about the books that I read still. But this one I didn't like as much, but I still did end up still ended up enjoying. I didn't know how I'd feel about it, and it definitely could have gone off course. It could have, but I feel like it was handled pretty well, and I'm very happy with the resolution, and I like how things ended up. I feel like if they had chosen a different person to be the person at fault, then it could have gone very badly, but I think they chose someone that it's okay. That's all I'll say. I mean, when you get to matters of, like, the Civil War, when writing, like, fiction about it, like, you have to be careful, and I feel like he did it well. And it had a good resolution. So, I enjoyed it, and I gave it 4 stars. Like, I didn't love it as much as the first book. I'm not as nostalgic for this book as well. Like, I've only read this one book once, I think, where I've read 1 and 3, like, 2 or 3 times before, so this was only ever my second time rereading it. I still did really like it. I just didn't love it quite as much. But it's still a 4-star book, and I really liked it a lot, and I still, like, laughed all throughout it. And then, finally, the last thing that I read, that I finished this morning, is I reread Animal Attraction, which is book 2 in the Animal Magnetism series. These covers are terrible, but the books are really cute. So I read this in last year in, like, February, and then I went back and I read the first book, which I had skipped initially, and I read that, like, last month. And I enjoyed it so much, I'm like, oh, now I want to go back and reread book 2, and so I did, and I really, really liked it the second time around, even more than I did the first time, honestly. I think that the way that she deals with this character, so there's a character who, often when a character deals with a trauma in books, oftentimes it is kind of covered up and you learn about it throughout the end of the book, and then not until, like, the very end of the book do you actually, like, find out what really happened. And often it's so, like, underwhelming when it happens, and you're like, that's what you've been stressed out about this whole time? That's what you've been freaking out about this whole time? Like, really? But this one, instead, so this girl did suffer a trauma, and you know what it is off the bat, and you don't know it in, like, 100% detail, but you know what happened. You just know that she was, that she worked in a hospital, and she ends up getting, like, held at gunpoint and forced to, like, unlock the cabinet, like, the drug cabinets or whatever, and that almost gets assaulted but isn't actually, and you know that's what happens. So also I really liked that she wasn't a rape victim, because that's something you see in romance a lot, and it can get to be very, like, heavy, and I like that that wasn't the case with this, that she did still have that trauma and she is suffering from PTSD, but at the same time it's addressed throughout the book, and it's not something that's, like, being hid from the reader the whole time. And I liked that it's, like, right off the bat, you know that she has this, you know that she's dealing with it, and that she's trying to work on it, and she's maybe not facing it in the healthiest way possible, but then at the same time, you're like, this is a real person. Like, obviously, they're not gonna, like, deal with this thing that happened to them very well. And she knows that she's not dealing with it well, but she can't seem to make herself deal with it better than she is, and I felt very connected to her while reading it. I was like, man, I felt that, like, not that I've been held at gunpoint before, but, like, when you are, like, in the midst and in the throes of, like, depression, or in the throes of, like, a panic attack or an anxiety attack or whatever, and you can, like, rationalize with yourself and be like, why is this happening? This shouldn't be happening, and I know I could be dealing with this better, but I'm not, like, oh well, like, this is just how it is. And I really like how that was addressed, and I think it just was a very, like, accurate representation. This is not spoilery by the way at all. Like, this is, like, right off the bat, you know a lot of this stuff. And this is about this girl who, she ends up, like, fleeing after that happened. She's like, I can't deal with this anymore. I can't be in this building where this happened to me anymore. She's just, like, so traumatized by it and so terrified that she ends up, like, getting in her car and driving, like, across the country, and ends up in this little town in Idaho, and ends up applying to be like the secretary at like a vet clinic and gets the job and just like runs the vet clinic and like makes all the appointments and everything. And so she's been there for like a year and a half at this point when the book starts off. And it's like the romance between her and the person who owns the vet clinic. And it was just really, really adorable. And I liked that the thing that happened to her, like, yes, it's not the worst thing that could have ever happened to her, but sometimes we can't like rationalize that when we're dealing with stuff. And you don't have to have the most horrible thing to ever happen to you in order to be dealing with that stuff and in order to get sympathy from people. And I don't know, I really like this book a lot. And I think Dell, he is wonderful as well. I enjoyed him so much as a character. I just liked everything about this book. It was really good. Like, I really like it. It's like a 4-star book now. So I'm actually going to bump my rating up. Initially, I'd rated it 3.5 stars and did it with like the 0.5 rounded down, but I'm rounding it up because I really, really enjoyed it. What a great photoshopped cover. I know. She's 12 and she's forbidden from dating. It's, I mean, hilarious. Oh, geez. 7 or 8. Yeah, that is weird. I haven't read that. Let me look it up. Is it good? Are you recommending it? Diana has it marked as to read, and you have it marked as to read as well. But I'll add it. Anyway, I really enjoy this and I recommend it. It's romance and animals, and she ends up finally getting an animal and like becoming attached to one, and it's just so cute and enjoyable, and I just really connected with the characters. I liked this one better than the first book, but and there's always that caveat. I'm reading the 3rd book right now and I'm not liking it even a little bit. That's not true. I do like the writing for the most part. The only thing I do have to say about the animal series in general is that I feel like some of the phrasing and the way that Jill Shalvis puts things sometimes, I feel like isn't the best phrased. But I don't think it's anything overly problematic either, so I kind of just like let it slip by. But some of the things she says, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, could be worse. Could be better, but could be worse. And I don't know, it's just like my own like reader sensitivity. But anyway, so I'm reading this one right now, Rescue My Heart, which is book 3. And I think Adam is a prick. And I think, what's her name? Holly is annoying. And so basically the premise of this book is that he trains search and rescue dogs. So he's out on like a mission. He hasn't slept in like 2 days. He hasn't eaten in 2 days. He's like very exhausted. He finally gets back to his house. He's injured. And he like barely gets home. And then like his ex-girlfriend, who they broke up like 10 years ago or something, she's like, my dad's missing. I need help finding him. Will you help me come like search for him in the mountains? And he's like, okay, yes, we'll leave tomorrow. Well, I'll leave tomorrow. You're not allowed to come. And she's like, no, I'm gonna come. And he's like, no, you're not allowed to come. And then, so he's already like running on very little sleep. And this is kind of like the thing that like kicks off my dislike for this book, is that he's running on so little sleep. He maybe gets like 4 hours of sleep or something, and then goes off on this like mission. So he's not well rested at all. And then they barely talked in the past like 10 years. And she feels very betrayed by him because he's the one that broke it off. And she hates him. And he's like, I just did it for your own good, and I'm not gonna consult you in anything, and I'm just gonna make all the decisions because I'm just like a big tough man. blah, blah, blah. And then, and then he ends up, she ends up like forcing him to make him take her with him, although he easily could have left her, so whatever. She ends up going with him, and they're out looking for one day, and then they're like, okay, we need a camp for the night, and then we have one other place that we're planning on looking of where he might be. I do like that he trusts her. She's like, I have a feeling that something happened to him. And he's like, but he's only been missing for 3 days, and he often goes off for like 5 days by himself. And she's like, I just have a feeling that something's wrong. And he like trusts her on that, and I did like that part. I'm not even halfway in yet, so everything I'm saying is like pre the first half of the book. But then he's already running on very little sleep. And then they end up having sex that night. And like bringing all this emotional stuff into it. And I'm like, honey, you're on the road in the mountains looking for your dad who may or may not be dead, and you're wasting all this time, and in this time that you could be sleeping and resting yourself, especially since he's already running on so little sleep, you're wasting all this time having sex? Why? What is wrong with you? Get your priorities straight, girl. And dude, like, what is wrong with you? You could be sleeping right now, and then you can get up even earlier and keep on going out. And then when they wake up in the morning, they end up like having a fight, and all this emotional stuff gets brought up, and they end up spending a really long time just like sitting around talking. And I'm like, yes, I know that you're okay. Tell me where it left off for you guys. Did you catch all my big rant about him telling her that she drives like a girl, and him and then being dumb and wasting all this time when her dad could be dead? Did you guys miss all that? Do I need to start over? What did you guys miss? Nope. Nope, you didn't hear that, or nope, you did? Man, I wish the stream would stop dropping. I don't know why it's so dumb. Missed most of the rant. Okay, I'll start over with the rant because just basically they have like a fight in the morning, and they waste all this time like arguing and being all emotional and stuff like that. And I'm like, why would you do that if you're still like, if you're concerned? Oh, so it's still working for Libby, so I guess it just dropped for some of you. I don't know why this is happening, but it's like, why are you wasting all this time with this? Like, get your priorities straight. Like, you're so worried about your dad having this accident. It was just one of those, like, moments. Like, really? Why are these characters so dumb? And, like, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just that I have, like, a million times better self-control than all these people or whatever in books. But you can't control yourself enough to just, like, deal with it after. Ugh. And then about the car, so then they're driving, and he like won't let her drive the car, and she's getting like all pissy about it, and she's like, you just can't let control, blah blah blah, like, let me drive. So then he finally lets her drive, and then he backseat drives the whole time, and he's like, switch to this gear, do this, and he's like, get in third gear. And so then she does, and then they come up on a really sharp corner, and she ends up like derailing them or whatever, like going off the side of the road. But he's like backseat driving the whole time, and he's like, you drive like a girl, and he just like says like sexist, rude things, and he's such a dick. I hate him. Adam is such a turd. I really, really don't like him. Like, she's dumb and annoying, but he's a turd. He says really rude things, and I don't like him at all. Oh no, which book did you do that with, Keisha? I always do that too. It ruins it. So, anyway, I'm not happy with this book at all. And he said several things that just, like, really irritated me. And I hate him a lot. He's the worst. And I just don't understand. I don't understand how you could be that concerned about your dad having an accident out, and then you spend all this time wasting your energy having sex and fighting and moping around and not looking for him. It's like, it's snowing outside, you guys. It's not just like the middle of summer or something either. Like, it's freezing outside and there's snow all over the ground. Like, if he had an accident and it snowed overnight, that means he's buried in a snowdrift somewhere. Maybe get off your butts and go do something. They're not even together though. They just had sex for, like, old time's sake or whatever. They had sex knowing that nothing's gonna work out from it and stuff as well. They're so stupid. I hate them. And, like, considering how much I loved book 1 and book 2, I'm very upset. And see, no one else is seeming to have this problem. Gwen liked it, Jen liked it. Everyone likes this book, except for me. And it's pissing... Whoa, what the F? It's pissing me off. Oh, dear. So, yeah, hopefully the next book is better. I mean, and I really like Jill Chavez' writing. I think she's funny. I think she has really funny and compelling characters, usually excluding these pieces of crap. And I don't know. I'm disappointed, let's just say. So, I'm excited to be done with this book. I think I'm going to listen to the rest of it on, like, 3 times speed, just kind of power through, and then continue on with the series, because I really liked book 1 and book 2. Book 2 is one of my favorite books I've read all year. Anyway, let's move on to what I'm reading currently. So, on Scribd, this is something I've discovered. So, I want to read the 3rd book, The Ghost in the Big Brass Bed, from the Nina Tenlevin series. But it won't let me for another month. I guess because I read 2 books by him, and so now it won't let me read this one. And there's other books by him as well that it won't let me get to. Until that point as well. Yeah, available soon. So it won't let me read any of these books by him. Or this one, or this one, or this one. Like, there's certain books that once you read 1 or 2 books, or whatever, and, like, this one's, like, a random, like, Tamara Pierce book. Why won't it let me read this book? Like, they're not available, so I can only read 2 of them. And then I have to wait a month, and then I can read 2 more. That doesn't seem unlimited to me. Isn't that weird? So I'm really kind of upset, honestly. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But I just figured I'd let you guys know because I read book 1 and book 2 and I was really excited. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to read book 3. And I was going to read book 3 yesterday. And I would have finished the whole trilogy. But no. I have to wait till the 15th. Oh, that sucks, Keisha, yeah. Especially if you've spent so much time with these characters. Maybe? I don't know. That doesn't seem like that would be it, but maybe that's it? That just seems like... But I'm allowed to get any other books. Like, these are all the other books that I have on my wish list or whatever, and none of them are saying that I have to wait. And even this other book by Bruce Colville is okay. It's just some of his books. And I can take this off my list now because I actually got to it. It's just like, it's selective and weird, and I don't understand. So anyway, I figured I'd go through my TBR list to get an idea of what I'm going to be reading next, and then I can also go over my currently reading. So currently, I'm reading My Lady's Choosing, an interactive romance novel, and I've completed like 3 endings in it, and I want to read a few more endings before calling it complete. I'm about halfway through Frog Kisser, which I'm buddy reading with Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye Loves Books, and I'm actually really liking it. I think it's inventive and fun. There is a little bit of a more mature theme that I don't love for middle grade books, but then at the same time, there are some other things that I'm really enjoying. I think it's a nice take on certain tropes. It does have like some darker, morbid bits, and it's I think it has a really good take on like Snow White as well. So that's all I'll say about that so far, but I'm about halfway through and I'm really liking it. Rescue My Heart I'm currently reading and I'm not liking. The Night Circus I haven't touched. I need to get on that. I think my book club pick, I think I need to have it done by the 21st, so I'm gonna have to power read it over the next few days. But I'm not enjoying it. Foundation I've read a little bit more of, but not a ton. Artist Files I'm rereading, but I haven't gotten super far in either. This one I'm about to finish. Lucinda's Secret, Book 3 in the Spiderwick Chronicles. I don't think I've made progress on this one. I read a little bit more of Equal Rights, and it's so funny, and I'm really enjoying it. Bad Beginning I started, and I'm about maybe a fifth of the way through the book. And The Yellow House Mystery. And yeah, I'm not enjoying most of the books I'm reading right now, but I'm enjoying enough. I don't know. You've jumped around too much to know if you have the same issue. Yeah. And I don't know if you start listening to the book or if you get a decent amount into the book or what. Like, I don't know what triggers it as well, because what if you just listen to like 5 minutes of a book and they go like, oh, I don't want to read this, and try to get another book by that author? Will that still have counted? Like, I don't know like what the rules are, and I'm frustrated. So maybe I'll send them a note and be like, hey, what's up with this? Because this doesn't seem unlimited to me, and I was promised unlimited. But things that I have on my list, I have the physical book of this, but I want to listen to it read to me because I'm a child. Oh, and it's narrated by... Shut up. And it's narrated by Neil Gaiman, who is a brilliant person. So I'm excited to listen to him narrate that. Does that count? Does that count as me having read it since it's only 6 minutes long and I listened to a whole second? Like, what counts? I'm so confused. You listened to all 3 within 2 days and it didn't block? That's odd. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I have Elizabeth Hoyt, North and South. I still haven't read Land of Stories. I need to get on that. I've heard that Cantillon is a really good place to start with Georgette Heyer, so I'm going to try that. I really want to read Howard Pyle, and I have Wives and Daughters on here as well. I really want to reread some Jean Stratton Porter and then read some new books by her. I really loved Freckles when I was younger, so I'd like to get to that. And The Harvester is a really close friend of mine who died. It was her favorite book, so I would really like to read that soon as well. I've never read The Wind in the Willows. Picture of Dorian Gray. Rappaccini's Daughter I want to get to really soon. 5 Weeks in a Balloon. The Tenant of Loudfell Hall. A lot of these are classics, I know. The 100 Dresses. I haven't read in a long time and I'd like to reread. I heard that this is a really good romance. I think it's MM romance, Carry the Ocean. This one is a physical book. The Ones Who Walked Away from Omlas, I've heard, is a really good short story by Ursula K. Le Guin. Let me see if there's any others. Grimm. I want to continue on with the Binti series. They have What Magic by Edith Nesbit, which I'm really excited to read. That's been on my TBR forever. Anyway. Yeah. It just seems so weird, and I just wonder why. It makes me so sad, especially since it's like an old book and it's probably not very popular. I think it has... Let's see. I just want to open it. It has 1 rating. Like, no one cares about this book. Why am I not allowed to listen to it? I don't understand. Anyway, not on audio though. Well, that's fine. My library has them. So I don't know. The other thing I don't love about Scribd is that it doesn't let you see how long is left in the audiobook or how much you've listened to. It only shows you like the chapters, which I don't love. I wish it would show you everything, or give you the option. Because it means I can't use my normal like tracking thing with it, and I don't have the patience to like look at every chapter and see how many minutes and stuff. Like, I don't care. So I think I'm not going to be using my like normal tracking system whenever I use books on Scribd, which is unfortunate. Anyway, so I split my TBR into TBR1, TBR2, and TBR3, and then a currently reading file, and that's, I think, how I'm going to track everything. So high priority, medium priority, and very low priority, but I might as well mark that they're on here since I saw them. But I don't know why it's not showing me my full list. Isn't that weird? It's only showing me 5 books out of my 25 books. Man, I don't know how I'm feeling about this whole Scribd thing. Genuinely irritated. You had that issue earlier on your list. Like, get it together, man. Anyway, maybe I'll try to email them tomorrow or something. I just don't know how much I care. Maybe I'll just try to get through as many books as I can in 2 months and then just like cancel it. But definitely not unlimited, like they say. But since there's limits. And I don't think there's anything else. I guess the only other thing I want to do is I would like to go to my groups, go to... Oh, come on. Unapologetic romance readers. Hey, look what they're reading this month. I participated twice already. Good for me. Going down to their challenges. Reading challenges, New Year's reading challenge, logs, and then updating this. Alright. Oh, look, that's already on my list. I think you recommended that last week or something. Maybe not. Maybe I just found it on my own. Yeah, June 3rd. So yeah, I think you recommended it a couple weeks ago, but you haven't made up your mind. I'll keep you updated on script. Okay, so this is how my reading challenge is going so far this year. I'm 30 out of 50 as of June 5th. So let's see how we're sitting. I need to read an antebellum. Big, beautiful woman could be... Let me see. Sorry. I need to pull up the book so I can reference things. Big, beautiful woman could be... Game of Hearts? But I think I'm going to hold off on that one. I think I'm going to use this for the MC romance, the Motorcycle Club romance. So it would be under here. Motorcycle/MC romance. So I'm going to do that. Ooh, I got another one done. And I just need to copy this over and cross it off. Oh no. Stop sucking. It's not that hard. Okay, so I think it's going to be easier for me to read a book with fat main characters than it will be for me to read a book with more motorcycles in them. But who knows, maybe I'll switch that later on. This is the Unapologetic Romance Readers reading challenge for the year, and there's 50 challenges. Let me see. I rated this one 3 stars. I'm not gonna participate in the readathon, but I think it's really funny, and I think it's a brilliant idea. I just don't want to structure my romance. I don't want to structure my reading that much right now. Like, if it was easier challenges to achieve, but the fact that it's like all Canadian authors and stuff is not something that I'm willing to dedicate my time to right now. I'd rather just read something that I'm more in the mood for than being like, well, it's not a Canadian author, so anyway. Okay, good night, Bruna. Thanks for staying and chatting with me and all of us. Yes, next Sunday. Okay, what more books have I read since this? Lick was the last book that I had updated. I read that here. So since then I've read The Kiss Quotient. I don't think The Kiss Quotient will count for any of these. It's not a Broadus Ripper. It's not a cowboy or western, gothic, historical. Oh, I picked it for the cover. That's true. I didn't even know what it was about when I read it because the cover was cute. So that one counts for that. That's always nice. I have the music from Chrono Trigger stuck in my head. I just would like to complete like 1 week of these, but I'm so far ahead that I'm like, meh, whatever. I don't really need to. And I'm just gonna give this 1 star because it sucks. I know I have it marked as 2 stars here, but it's really a 1.5, and I'm just gonna mark it for a 1 for the sake of it. Has anyone read this since? By the way, about the Kiss Quotient, if you go to my last live stream, I wrote a big, huge comment in reply to someone. Someone said that its own voices, And I said, yes, I know that, but it still sucks, and this is why. And I was able to write it a lot more eloquently because I was so tired last week because I'd been in the car all day. So, if you would want to know more details about why I didn't like the kiss quotient, it's a little bit spoilery, but not like super spoilery. Go read that comment. It's like this big. I really want to read The Blue Castle. You're doing Around the World in 52 books. Is that going well for you so far? Okay. Alright. So that's another one. I'm trying not to count books that I've DNF'd unless I got, like, maybe, like, really, really close to the end. So, like, a match made in spell doesn't count. Act Like It I completed, but I don't know if that will count for anything. Act Like It, let's see. It's not a virgin hero, not vampire, not time travel, not sports, not science fiction, not pirate, not non-western. It's not military. Inspirational. Yeah, that one doesn't count at all, which sucks because it sucked. Oh well. Game of Hearts I already put in. The One Real Thing I don't think counts for anything either. Valentine doesn't count for anything. The Hating Game doesn't count for anything. I've already counted it in there. At Any Price. And then as far as Animal Attraction, okay, do you guys think, so it wouldn't work for Animal Attraction. But for Animal Magnetism, I did an Animal Lover's Romance. Okay, so do you guys think, so Animal Magnetism, the guy he's like ex-military? Would that count as a military romance if he's like recently out of military and is just like coming home? Does that count as a military romance? Because if so, I'll move Animal Magnetism to be my military romance, and I'll move Animal Attraction to be my Animal Lover's Romance. Does it count? Because otherwise, I don't think I'll end up reading a military romance. You think it would count as military? Okay, I'm gonna do that then, because it's not something that I would gravitate to on my own, and so I'd really have to go out of my way, and I don't know if I'd like a straight like military romance. And I could definitely count the one that I'm reading right now as well, because that one, he's ex-military as well, the third Animal book, but I'm just going to count Animal Attraction as it. Or Animal Magnetism, sorry. These covers are so bad, oh my word. Oh man, that is really good, Elizabeth. Oh, I didn't put the ratings in. Oh well. So far, that means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. So I have 33 out of 50, which I think is pretty good. 33. And let me give ratings. This one is a 4-star. Are there any books that I didn't give ratings to? don't think it looks like it. Alright. So I feel like what I might want to do with the rest of these, so it means I only have 17 left. And there's 28 weeks left in the year. If I just try to do one a week and like try to focus from here on out for one a week, then I won't get behind. So I already have one in mind for Antebellum. And I don't have one in mind for Big Beautiful Woman, but I'm sure I'll stumble across one in the next 6 months. Bodice Ripper, I have one in mind as well, but I'm not looking forward to it. I'm pretty sure I'll hate it and DNF it. Cowboy Western, I have one in mind. Gothic Romance, I don't have one in mind, but actually maybe I'll read The Mysteries of Udolpha for that. Historical, I really could have counted a ton of books for this so far, but I'm waiting to read a historical that I really like because I'm not having a great luck with historicals recently, so I'm waiting to put that one in there. Holiday or Christmas, I have one in mind. Inspirational, I have one in mind. Or at least, even if it's not inspirational, I do have one in mind by like a Christian author, and I think that will count. Jazz Age, I have one in mind. Menage a Trois, thanks to you guys, I have one in mind. We'll see if that actually happens. Non-Western, do you guys have any romance books to recommend to me in a non-Western setting? A pirate romance I also need, so ditto for that. Science fiction, I don't think I have one in mind. I maybe have one in mind. What is that one called that Lindsay really liked a few years ago? That's like an SFF romance. I guess I should just say an SF romance. A sports romance, I sort of have some in mind, but I don't know how that will actually go. I need a vampire romance. I need a time travel romance and a virgin hero romance. If you guys have any in mind for any of those, please give me recommendations and I'm going to try to start working on them. So a lot of them I do have some books in mind for, but a lot of them I don't as well. Could be on what's known as terminal leave. Okay. Well, thanks. I counted it, so that works for me. Okay. So as far as a pirate romance goes, there's a Pirate for Christmas. But I think I would have to read this physically. Yeah, it doesn't exist. So we'll see what actually happens with that. Andrea liked it. Nina hated it and thinks it's terrible. Who read this one? And Elise liked it. Well then. Lindsay Sands. I know I've heard that name before. Do I have anything on my TBR by her? No, I don't. Unless that's not spelled correctly. Let me just try Sands. Lindsay Sands. Oh, That's weird. Ooh, this one's a Beauty and the Beast. Is this romance? I mean, is this vampire as well? No, it just looks like it's a Beauty and the Beast. Dang it. But is it good paranormal? A quick bite. Pre-Goodreads days. Pirate Heiress. You guys are awesome. You always come through. This book was just okay. I didn't really care for the main characters. Well then, thanks for recommending me such a stellar book. I mean, I'll add it tentatively to a TBR, but... ooh, surely I'll be able to find something better than that. Oh, there we go. You weren't a huge fan of the first one. Pirates and Petticoats. Oh. Should I start on book 1? Does it matter where you start with the series? Should I start on book 1 or nah? Okay, let's see. Story themes, categories. Categories. Colonial, contemporary, dark. So inspirational. Gothic. Time travel. Sports. You just read book 4 and had no problems with it. Okay. I will just add book 4 to my TBR then. Oh, is the Night Huntress series, is that vampires? Because that is on my TBR. I didn't know if it was just like general paranormal or if that was vampire. Okay. Okay, maybe I'll do that one then. For inspirational, let's look at what they recommend. Don't care, don't care. That is an interesting cover. Don't care, don't care, don't care. I guess for an inspirational, would... the book by... what is her name? Oh, what is her name? Edenbrook? Is that what it's called? Edenbrook. A proper romance. Would that count as inspirational? Because if that would, I have another book on my TBR by her, Julianne Donaldson. Would she be an inspirational? I don't know. I've never read an inspirational romance. Blackmore. And then also... teen romance. Does that count? Is this who you're talking about? I have no idea who you're talking about. And then Her Soldier of Fortune. Oh, doesn't that just look heartwarming? Okay. Let me see. These books that are like proper romances or whatever, a proper romance. Sarah M. Eden. I have some books by her on my TBR as well. And I don't know if they count either. I just don't understand. Oh. I have this marked as fairy tales. Is Beauty and the Beast. Okay. Well, maybe I'll read that. But it is a Christian author. Because they sold it in my Christian bookstore that I worked at. Okay. Anyway. Because besides that, I don't know what to choose. Okay. Maybe I'll just go eeny, meeny, miny, mo and pick one at random off of there. Okay, so as far as Gothic, I may just reread North Anger Abbey because I love it so much. Oh. I did not like book 1 in the Lady Julia Gray series. I will not be continuing on with that. Atlantis Rising, North Anger Abbey. Okay, so yeah, there's plenty that I could use for that. Catherine Coulter, I haven't read anything by her before. And then for time travel, do you guys have any good time travel you recommend? Karen White, Brenda Joyce, Rendezvous with Yesterday, A Laird for All Time. That one's echoed. Daughter of Time. They have 11 whole pages of them, so I'm sure I'll find something that really stands out. I don't think I've ever read a time travel romance besides Outlander, which I hated. So, I didn't hate. I just really didn't like. I guess I should say. Ooh, I could read some Meg Cabot. And what was the other one? Sports romance. I really don't know what to do about sports romance. I haven't read any. I'm pretty sure I don't like Helen Hunting, but I could always try Pucked. I just heard really bad things about it. Susan Mallory, I think I've heard good things about. Ooh. Nalini Singh, I haven't read anything by her yet, but Rock Kiss. The first book is like, yeah. It's about a band, but book 2 he plays a sport. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll read book 1 and book 2. You like Lynn Kirkland for time travel. Alrighty. Oh, is that a time travel romance? Well, I'll be darned. Perfect. Please be on audio. Please be on audio. Okay. This is perfect. This is what I wanted. I will read this. If this is the time travel one. Is this the time travel one? Or are there others? Because this was already on my TBR. Is there a specific one to read? Or are they all sort of time travel? A Dance Through Time. Oh, sorry. You said A Dance Through Time. A Dance Through Time. Well, shoot then. There are others. This one's not on audio. No. Dang it. Is that other one time travel or is it not? You haven't read any of those yet. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'll just figure it. Just one damned thing after another is not romance. Okay, because I'm like, this is on my TBR, but it's not romance, so it doesn't count. I don't think this is romance either. It certainly isn't, but that's also on my TBR. Ooh, this cover is really pretty. I don't know what it is. She's like dying. It's really pretty. Okay. Let me see. I feel like that's super spoilery to have Fate of the Tearland on here. Whoops! I don't know anything about this. I really like the covers. I think they're super pretty. I'm just gonna add it to like my way down tentative TBR just to keep my mind out for it. Hazel Hunter. Ooh, I could do Landline by Rainbow Rowell. I wanted to reread that this year. Oh, I might do that. That would be good. I wonder if this book is a time travel book. Once upon a time travel. Sorry. Oh, I didn't realize these books, the Nantucket books, are time travel. That's interesting. I didn't realize that. Alright. Warrior's Woman by Johanna Lindsay. Wow, that is a work of art. It's not on audio. Rats. I mean, I'll still add it to a tentative TBR, but if it's not on audio, the chances of me getting to it is low. And Allie really hated it. Allie, I love reading her reviews. They're always very in-depth about why she dislikes things, so I'll probably come back and read this later and see what I think. And Gwen didn't like it either. She said no. So we'll see. Why does she have... Get your slavery-looking clothes on, lady, and take it like you want it, because apparently you do. Oh, no, that doesn't sound good. Okay. So, probably not. We'll see, though. Okay. And then... Alright, I think I will do this for my sports romance. That makes me feel a little less intimidated, because if I like book 1, I'll be excited to read book 2. And I'll feel less intimidated about picking up book 1, because it's a rock star one. Drama everywhere. Keisha, your hashtags always kill me. More Than This by J. McLean. Nope, I don't know this one. I mean, on it goes. Sure. Were there any others that I was like, man, I really need it? Pirate romance. Let me see if I open up one of those pirate books. If it has pirate in the title, it will probably have pirate as a tag, and then I can just look and see if there's anything. Which I'm not going to read this book because I heard too many bad things about it. Oh, To Kill a Kingdom. I heard it was very disappointing. Ooh. There are pirate books I'm interested in, but to find a pirate romance is the thing. I like this cover. I don't know what it is, but I like it. Oh, excuse me. It does have romance as a tag, but it's young adult. Ooh. Oh, that's not book 1. That's book 0.5. Book 1 is Aaron Ash. I'm gonna add this to my TBR. Ooh, this is a really interesting cover for the Pirates. Wish I never saw that. Ooh, and it could be space pirates too. The Sea King. I Marry the Duke. Burning Bright. Weather Mages of Maestral. Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure book 1 is on my TBR. It is. I Married the Duke. Does this exist on audio? Does not exist on audio. I don't think it's going to be for me right now. Does this exist on audio? Do you guys like my elimination process? Does it exist on audio? If so, I may consider reading it. It does exist on audio. Yes. Okay, yeah, this is totally on, like, my Goodreads. Not my Goodreads, on my, like, mental TBR. I think I have it marked on, like, Hoopla or something. So I'll add this to my to-read list as well for, like, another pirate one. Just to have backups. Alright. That's making me feel better. And then fat romance. Are any of these already on my TBR? Doesn't look like it. Rats. That means I'll have to find one. Ooh, I think I heard really bad things about this one. Ooh. I'll have to go digging through these and see. 9 romances featuring fat heroines. Okay. I like the title and I like the cover, so that's already one that is appealing to me. I like the cover and I like the title. This makes me feel really uncomfortable, so I've already read this one and I loved it. I already read this one and I loved it, which I was thinking maybe I could use it for this category, but what did I end up using it for? I ended up using it for chick lit because I didn't think it would be likely that I would read another chick lit book, so I marked it for that one because I figured it's more likely for me to read another book with a fat heroine than it is for me to read another chick lit book. But if I do read some Sophie Kinsella this year, then I may juggle those. Redeeming the Pirate. Oh no. In a romance reader's guide to life, like I am sort of interested in it, but at the same time I didn't hear super great things about it, so I'm like, oh, but I really like the cover, and I like the title, and I like the idea. Well, that's part of that same series that you told me about. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, I read Romancing Mr. Bridgerton last year. But she's just plump. Beast. Oh, less than stellar writing. That doesn't make me want to read it. I've never read any Jude Devereaux, so if it's on audio... Well, let's look at these first two again. If the dress fits, I really like this cover a lot. That is a cover that appeals to me. That is so cute. I would wear that, and I would wear that if the sleeves went up, and I would wear that, so I approve. But let's see if it doesn't have an audio. I'm still gonna add it to a physical TBR because it looks cute. And what's the other one? Dangerous Curves Ahead. Oops, I didn't mean to close that. Oh well. Oh, that cover's not nearly as cute. I really, really, really hate that cover a lot. Why would they do that? No. Oh, it's a different author. Ew, it's this one. Okay, good. Phew. I'm like, why would you change the cover to that? Look at that audio edition. Heck yeah. Okay. Alright. Maybe I'll do this one then. Because, like, I'm sure I'll stumble on... Like, I've already read a few books with, like, fat heroines this year. And I'm sure I'll stumble upon more. But knowing that there are some that I'm interested in makes it better. Plus size heroines, formerly truly plus. Ooh, okay, this looks like more the list I was looking for. Suddenly You, which I'm interested in reading. Devil in Winter, is she plus sized? Because I don't know if I'll get to that book this year, but that's on my TBR. Are there any others? The Bride and the Beast. Oh, Enchanting Pleasures. I was planning on reading that this year, so maybe that one will count as well. I'm sorry, you guys are probably really bored because I'm just like looking for these, but it does say organizing my Goodreads, and this counts as that. And Caroline Linden's book, Love and Other Scandals, and Seize the Fire. Okay, so there's like quite a few that I can come back and like look for this list later. Not just thick or salad. Alright. Alright. I didn't remember her being curvy, but maybe that's just me. And Suddenly You, let me see if that is on Scribd. Currently unavailable. Boo, what a drag. Alright, that's fine. Alright, so there's a lot of things that I can choose from, and I can always go to character types and story themes and stuff like that as well to try to find some more. So like they do have one for different sports. For vampires, they have a huge section, I'm sure. And actually looking for firefighter. I don't know, I never mentioned it on here, but really quickly, I guess, before I wrap up the stream tonight. Ripped Bodice. Oh, I'm blinking. Is that how you spell bodice? Yes, okay. Wow, my brain. Ripped Bodice is having their summer romance bingo. This is the thing. I know they have one that has, yeah, that's firefighters. So this is another book bingo for the summer that I want to do. And I've already read one that the heroine is older than the hero. Birds are somehow involved. Return to hometown. Damsel in distress. There's a time travel one, so that would be a crossover. Hero Smells Like Man. I read one that had that. Book That Is Now a Movie is one that I need to find one for. Mermaids I need to find one for. A queer historical one. One named Harry. There's like quite a few. I'm gonna really have to like sit down and find some books for these. And as I see more people like posting about this and saying which books they read for which ones, that will give me ideas. Anyway, I think I'm gonna wrap it up for now. I'm getting tired. It's past midnight and I work tomorrow in the morning. So anyway, thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. And thanks for giving me all the recommendations and chatting with me. Y'all are always the best and I love doing this weekly. It's such a highlight of my week. So anyway, I think that's it. I'm just waiting for people's responses. Alright. Good night, Melody. Good night, Elizabeth, Diana, Keisha. I don't know if Judith is still here. I don't know who's here, but it says there's 9 of you, and I don't know if that's true. No firefighter books. But if you need a mafia or a biker book, then I'm your girl. Good to know. Oh. Alright. Good night, everyone. I will see you next Sunday. And maybe before that, but probably not.